Hello folks, Alex here. This is Alex Unabridged, and today I thought I'd do the About Me tag. So yeah, I'm still very new to this whole Booktube thing, and so I thought I'd do another tag video that's just about, for you to get to know me a little bit better. So this is random questions, and yeah, hopefully this will give you a little bit more of an idea of who I am, what I do, etc., etc. So you'll have to excuse the fluorescent light today. It's the big lights had to go on because it's a bit grim up north today. It's dark and misty, so I apologise for the potential horrible lighting. Right, let's crack on with these questions. So, question one: what do you study? What is your job? I'm an artist and a designer, and hopefully will kind of also be able to add writer to that soon. I have written some shorter stuff as part of my art practice. Zines which have included writing and images, and I'm currently doing the same for a bigger book at the moment. But yeah, mainly art. My art is digital and traditional print based, and design. I design mainly stuff for sort of smaller organisations. I've done quite a lot of work for museums, sort of designing their exhibitions, exhibition kind of information boards and stuff like that, and the sort of space, things like that, and stuff for charities and various things like that. And for sort of non-profit organisations. When I studied theatre. I studied drama at university, and worked in theatre for just over 10 years as a technical manager and as a designer, mainly lighting design. But then decided I wanted to make a change and moved kind of sideways into just another creative profession. Okay, question two. What is your favourite social media channel? YouTube, without a doubt. But a close second is Instagram. And those pretty much are the only two that I'm active on in any way. I'm on Facebook, but I don't really kind of, I have an account, but I don't really use it. And I've just binned Twitter because I was doom scrolling, and it wasn't fun. So yeah, Instagram particularly because, as an artist, that's where I can see other people's artwork and get inspiration and connect with other artists and stuff, and connect with my own audience. But yeah, YouTube I think is probably I'd call my favourite social media channel. Question three. If you had another channel, what would it be about? I think it'd probably be about hiking and landscape and the outdoors and stuff like that. That's what my artwork is connected to, and my writing, and that's what I do a lot of. Getting out and hiking, through hiking, day hiking, exploring landscapes, etc. So I think that's probably what I'd do. That certainly would be the easiest thing for me to do because that's what I do a lot of. Question four. Do you play any instruments? Not these days, I don't, but when I was a teenager, that was mainly what I did, was music. So back then I played piano, and I'd love a piano now, but we just don't have a house that can fit the one that's at my mum and dad's. They're saving it for me, a nice old upright kind of plinky plonk piano, but we can't fit it in our house at the moment, so that will have to wait. But yeah, I would like to get back to playing that. And I also played saxophone and euphonium, which is one down from a tuba, so quite a big horn type thing. And I played in brass bands. And I toured around and played in brass bands with that, a youth brass band, and it was fun, but it did not do anything for my street cred, I can tell you that. So yeah, I played that until I was sort of 19, 20, and then just kind of when I was in doing theatre and stuff, I had no time for music. It was all about the theatre productions, so my music kind of went by the wayside. Question number 5: what hobbies do you have other than reading? Hiking, which is, you know, a hobby which is also connected to my work. Gaming. I'm a big fan of gaming, so that's a good way to unwind when I don't want to read. And sewing, which I do kind of off and on. I have to be in the mood for it. But that's something I like to do when I listen to audiobooks. I've got a big Lord of the Rings cross stitch on the go at the moment, which I pick up every now and again and do a bit more to. Artwork, even though it's my job, I also, you know, it's one of those things where, like, you know, if I've got a chance to draw, that's something else I'll do while I'm listening to audiobooks is sketch. Generally kind of traveling and visiting places, you know, sort of I like to sort of visit, you know, castles and stately homes and all that kind of stuff, you know, kind of learn more about the history of the country. That's something that my wife and I do together. So yeah, lots of bits and pieces really, hobbies wise. Question number 6: favorite TV shows. Currently, I don't know. Just started watching The Last of Us, which is so far very good. I know the game, and I'm really enjoying the adaptation. In terms of, like, you know, all-time favourites, or The West Wing has got to be up there as one of my all-time favourites. I've watched it more times than I can remember, and it really kind of back then it got me into, you know, not politics necessarily, but it got me into a fascination with political process. I'm interested in the process, not the politics. The politics drive me nuts. Gameplay and etc. But the actual process of government and, you know, kind of politics, how things work, that really interests me. So, and especially sort of, you know, the American stuff, because it's totally different to what we've got here in Britain. So yeah, that's one. But the other one, which is just the one that I stick on, you know, whenever I want a comfort viewing, really at any point, and I'll watch, you know, episodes, you know, definitely each week. I'll go back to again and again, and that's Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Love it. It's just one of those that, you know, it will always be, you know, my go-to watch. You know, I know it that well that, you know, I could probably recite most of it line by line, but that's why it's so joyous. So yeah, that one is that one's probably my favourite, I think. Question number 7: what got you into reading? When I was a kid, my mum was a primary teacher, a specialist in English, and a bit of a writer herself as well. And so, you know, we were a big book house, and so yeah, so I kind of got into reading through her, reading things, you know, with her, or, you know, having things read by her to us when we were really little, and then reading with her, was kind of where I came into it as a kid. But then for most of my sort of adult life, sort of from 18 onwards, I didn't read for pleasure particularly until 2020, when I got into audiobooks. And that's what did it for me, was the audiobooks. It's being that thing about going back to childhood and being told a story, and that's just what works for me. I can consume more books, I can fit more books into the limited free time that I've got. It means I can do other things, my other hobbies, at the same time, like the sewing, etc. So yeah, audiobooks, I think, is probably what got me in to reading, or listening, I should say. And in terms of genre, horror. I once I found the love of horror, then that's kind of when I did read, kind of between being 18 and now, or like 2020, so sort of 20 years basically. It was horror that I picked up generally. Stephen King, James Herbert, Clive Barker, that kind of stuff. Question 8. What are your favourite and least favourite genres? Favourite: horror, thriller, in terms of fiction, non-fiction, stuff about adventures, expeditions, like natural history type stuff. Least favourite, probably romance, although I've not read a huge amount of it. I think, it's been a long time since I read any kind of romance, so it's probably changed quite a bit. So it's probably one of those that I should probably try again at some point, but it's just not high on the priority list at the moment. So yeah. Other than that, least favourite, I don't know really. I'm trying to expand my knowledge of genre, so it's difficult for me to say least favourite when I kind of have very little knowledge of what I do and don't like outside of my kind of tried and tested horror, thriller, mystery, etc. Question number 9. What books define your childhood? Ooh. The one I remember the most, like being one of my favourites, was a book called Bunny Rabbit Rebus, which is exactly what it says. It was a rebus. It was told through pictures representing words. And it's funny because actually I've gone back to it recently because I've started using that kind of idea, the sort of the idea of symbols and pictures to represent language, words, in my own artwork. So I've got Bunny Rabbit Rebus out again, which was really cool. It was kind of nice to have a little nostalgia moment. So that's one that I remember really just loving and reading again and again and again. Other books, certainly Enid Blyton, like the Enchanted Wood and the Magic Faraway Tree and the Wishing Chair. I loved that kind of stuff as a kid, that kind of sort of fantasy adventure-y type thing. But very English stuff. And what else? Roald Dahl. Yeah, Roald Dahl. I loved The Witches and Fantastic Mr. Fox and The Twits. I think those were my favourite ones of Roald Dahl's, but pretty much anything by Roald Dahl as well. Those are the books that really defined my childhood.
Hello folks, this is Editing Al here. Just realised that I have a bit of a strange thing going on with the video at this end point, so I'll do the answer to the last question again, which is tell us an interesting fact about you. Don't know whether it's interesting, but it's a fact. I have a terrible phobia of sharks, and this I think comes from watching Jaws way too young, which I think is also where the aversion to the horror movies like really started as well. It was probably the first one that absolutely terrified me. So yeah, it's a monster that's real to me. When I was a kid, I was scared of monsters in books and films and everything. But then, got to a certain age and realised that they weren't real, so the fear was a little bit less. Still not gone, but a little bit less. But then Jaws was about, a monster that essentially is real. Sharks do exist. And it's not the fact they could kill me. Tigers could do that. Lots of animals could do that. It's the look of them. No, it's the teeth. Oh, nah. No. So yeah, that is the interesting fact about me. So yes, thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much if you're still with me. But for now, I will sign off. So that is ta-ra from me.